Hello and welcome everyone. Our garden did very well this year and managed to produce several very nice beets. In honor of that, I want to put them to good use and cook up a nice and simple borscht. This recipe is a personal favorite of mine. It reminds me of visiting my grandma's house. Hopefully you'll join me today as we cook up this simple but satisfying soup. A quick note before we begin. Almost this entire recipe is to taste. It can be tweaked and modified however you like. For today's recipe you will need 1 medium or large onion. I like sweet onion, but you can use whatever type is your favorite. 3 or 4 stalks of celery, 3, 4 or more beets. The number will depend on the size of the beets and how much beet you want in the soup. You also want 3 to 4 cups of green beans or yellow beans, or a combination of the two. We couldn't find any nice yellow beans, so today we're just going to be using green beans. You'll also need salt and pepper to taste. Enough stock or water to cover the vegetables in the pot. I am going to start with 1 liter of stock and add water to top it up. You'll also need butter, bacon fat, or some other sort of oil or fat for sautéing the onions and celery. You'll also need a bit of cream. I'm going to be using half a cup today, but I recommend starting with 1/4 cup and adding more if you think it needs it. We'll also need some vinegar. Like with the cream, I'm going to be using half a cup in mine, but I recommend starting with 1/4 cup and adding more if you need it. This recipe makes a perfect starting point if you want to experiment and add other vegetables or meat as well. Today we're going to stick with the simple bean borscht, however. Firstly, we need to prepare the vegetables. Scrub your beets to make sure they're nice and clean. You can peel them or you can leave the skins on, it's up to you. If you leave the skins on, be sure to scrub them extra well to remove all of the dirt that might be stuck to them. You'll also want to rinse your celery and beans and remove the stems from the beans if they're still on. Then remove the outer skin from your onion and chop it fairly finely. You don't have to be too precise. Then dice your celery to a similar size. Cut your beans into bite-sized pieces. I like roughly 1-inch chunks. And lastly, carefully grate the beets on the coarse side of a box grater. Definitely use gloves if you don't want pink hands afterwards. Grate each beet down until they are too awkward to hold. If your beets came with stems attached, you can leave some of the stems on to work as a handle. Now we cook. Sauté your onion and celery. You'll need quite a bit of fat or oil to sauté them nicely. Sauté the onions and celery until the onions are cooked and translucent. I personally like to cook my onions a bit extra until they are slightly caramelized. Next, add the grated beets and stir them well. Then let everything lightly sauté for a few minutes. I let the beets cook for about 10 minutes here. Once the beets are nice and hot, add the beans and stir very well. Now add the liquid. As mentioned, you can use stock or water. The important thing is to add at least enough liquid to cover all of the vegetables. You should also season the soup here. I'm using stock with no added salt, so I am going to start with half a tablespoon of salt and half a tablespoon of pepper. Then once the liquid is added, bring the borscht to a simmer or low boil. Once it's begun simmering, it's also a good idea to taste the liquid and check to make sure it's seasoned enough. If not, you can add more salt and pepper as needed. Then simmer the borscht until the beans are tender. After the beans are tender and cooked, we are going to add the cream. Slowly pour in the cream and stir well. Then allow the borscht to come back to a simmer if it has cooled down. And finally, we're going to slowly stir in the vinegar. And here you have it. Bean borscht is probably my favorite soup. I love it served with a dollop of sour cream like this and some extra vinegar poured on it. It's great with some slices of bread, but it's even better with those dinner rolls that we made in the last episode. Hopefully you'll give this recipe a try, and if you do, let me know how it turns out for you. If you want, you can send pictures to me on Instagram or Twitter. If you haven't already, be sure to bash the like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell. That way you won't miss any future episodes of Andrew's Treats and Eats. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas for future episodes, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Andrew's Treats and Eats.